Browns. A lot of conversation about the quarterback situation in Cleveland after Joe Flacco was named the starter. Head coach Kevin Stefanski stood by the decision yesterday. Coach, talk to me.
I thought he's done exactly what we've asked him to do, and I think we have a lot of confidence in him. We have a standard for that position regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. We have a very, very high standard.
All right, Dan, you want to take that one?
I mean, so I don't know exactly what Kevin's trying to say, but I think what Kevin is trying to say is, you know, the old coaching adage of if you don't practice, you don't play, right? Like, so the other guys on the depth chart have had injuries throughout camp, probably haven't been able to show, get enough practice reps to show where they can, and whereas Flacco has been, he's taken every rep he was scheduled to take, and I think that what Kevin is trying to say there is rooted in that idea of like, I mean, it's easy to sit here, it's like it's the Cleveland Browns. What do you mean high standard?
Correct.
The worst. But
I can hear your brain grinding.
yeah. But I think that's the point of like he's trying to explain the decision to go with Flacco by saying, look, we've seen it, we know what he can do, and the others still have to get there.
Yeah. We knew that was coming. He was going to be the starter from before the whole thing started. Lewis, is the most important piece of this now seeing who the backup is?
Yeah, it probably.
One of these two rookies is going to get to play.
It has to play itself out. You just can't let that hang, you know, in limbo forever. Because look, that guy understands he's one snap away. So you have to give him some reps. You have to give him some attention in the meeting room, on the practice field, and he can't just run cards all week long. He can't just be a scout team guy. So either that's going to be Dylan Gabriel getting that, Kenny Pickett getting that, or Shedeur getting that. So yeah, that has to be decided upon. And I'm sure he already has.
Should we read a lot into it, whatever it is?
We shouldn't read a lot into who the backup quarterback is unless it's not one of the rookies. Let's say Kenny Pickett comes off of the injury reserve, or Kenny Pickett returns to practice, and now Kenny Pickett is second, and one of these rookie guys is the third emergency quarterback. Then that tells me what I'm starting to feel anyway, is that they don't see either of these guys as the future, that they aren't evaluating Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders as the franchise quarterback to take this team forward. Kevin Stefanski is the two-time Coach of the Year. Mike Tomlin, who we all revere and think is one of the greatest of this era, has never won Coach of the Year. That's how good this man has been in Cleveland. And he's trying to win football games. And I don't know if he looks at either of those rookie quarterbacks, one taken in the third round, one taken in the fifth round, as someone that can allow them to win football games this year. And I don't believe he sees this as I'm rebuilding. He sees this as if I win with a guy who I know exactly what I'm going to get from him, and what we saw exceedingly high play from in 2023 can allow me to get to the playoffs, allow me to contend, I keep my job.
See, I don't know if they have made that determination that either Dylan or Shedeur is a franchise quarterback or not. I don't think you can. I don't think you can at this point. I mean, they both have basically played one game. Right? I mean, and I understand, look, we are in a microwave society, and we have guys who make one throw, throw one interception, and we say he's turnover prone, get his ass out of there. I don't think they're at that point. It is kind of striking to me when you put it in kind of real simplistic terms that he is a two-time Coach of the Year and Mike Tomlin has not won it at all. Yeah. I mean,
that says more about the award.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Because that was just something that kind of like
but like Kevin Stefanski right now is thinking, so for us, right, for us, Shedeur Sanders was such a big story headed into the draft, right? We all saw him as a first-round guy, or at the worst, a second-round guy, which said to us, we believe that he could be the starter for a franchise for a decade, right, for years to come. And so we're expecting to see that from Kevin Stefanski, to see that mindset, but he's thinking team over building individuals. Kevin Stefanski's thinking about his job. How do I do what's best for these 53 men to win football games? Not necessarily how do I do what's best to see if we need to draft a quarterback next year.
And the other thing to remember is Kenny Pickett is also a developmental prospect in their eyes, right? He's still young. They traded for him before they knew who they were going to take in the draft, before they had Flacco. So that's a guy they want to see more from, and that they
see. This really speaks to the subjective nature of player evaluation, right? So you're talking about pre-draft, and I'm right there with you, that we thought that maybe Shedeur could be a guy who was a decades-long starter. I don't think that he has done anything to this point to really move me off of that evaluation. And he shouldn't have done anything to move Kevin Stefanski or anyone else off of that evaluation right now.
But they obviously didn't have that evaluation.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
And it seemed, for whatever reason, nobody did.
We're going to start. You know what? Look, we're going to go down a rabbit hole again on this conversation.
I like rabbit holes.
But you know what? We'll see. We'll see.
I'm up against the clock. We could go down that rabbit hole this morning. I have plenty of time to do it, and I'm very interested in seeing what comes out the other side of it, because Shedeur Sanders plays one preseason game, looks terrific, and then we never see him again. Strikes me as a sort of a strange way for this to end.
America's favorite game. Is it ridiculous? With Louis Riddick here on SportsCenter AM. We're going to rapid fire these. The first game is 15 days away. Thursday, September 4th, Louis. Cowboys and Eagles. So we're going to start there. Is it ridiculous to say that there is a chance that Micah Parsons will not suit up for the Cowboys in Week 1?
No, it's not ridiculous at all. Look, I think Adam Schefter has articulated this very clearly in his reporting on this situation, that this situation has done nothing, Randy, but deteriorate. And I think, right now, Micah Parsons and his agent, his representation, David Mulugeta, are serious about the fact that they are trying to look for, true market value for this young man. And why shouldn't they? He is really, to me, the epitome of the easy contract. Meaning he's a guy who you drafted, he's homegrown, he's now embarking on his second contract. He has done nothing but produce at an impact position at a high level, and now we're sitting here talking about, well, I thought I had a deal in the offseason and some kind of off the record conversation between an owner and a player, and that is why you're not able to strike a deal right now. If I'm Micah Parsons and I think I can go ahead and withstand the financial consequences of sitting out, I'm sitting out.
Yeah, I mean, you procrastinate this long, you complicate the situation if you're the Cowboys.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, is it ridiculous to think that the Eagles are not the best team in the NFL?
Yeah, I do think it's ridiculous. Look, I think this football team really does return all of the crucial ingredients to make another run at it. But the offensive line, I understand, has some issues right now in terms of health and availability coming out of the gate. But they are still coached by a Hall of Fame offensive line coach in Jeff Stoutland. The quarterback is back. The wide receivers are back. The tight ends are back. On the defensive line, in the interior, they're still just as strong as ever. You've seen in some of the preseason film that they still have guys that can pressure off of the perimeter. They're going to be fine with Zach Vaughn at linebacker, and they have nothing but playmakers in the secondary. And a coaching staff that remains largely intact, minus the offensive coordinator. But Kevin Patullo has been there. They're going to be fine. This team's going to be humming.
That defense, for some reason, doesn't get its flowers. Let's look to the rookies now.
No.
Jackson Dart should start right now. Is that ridiculous?
No, that's not ridiculous either. And I understand that there's always going to be talk about the fact that, you don't need to rush a young quarterback. Just let him sit and learn behind the veteran. Russell will be fine. Well, have you watched Jackson Dart this preseason? And I understand it's against 2s and 3s, and preseason is watered down in terms of the level of competition. But what preseason does show you is your level of efficiency and your mastery of the offense and how you execute the fundamentals. And Jackson Dart has executed in that regard. And on top of it, you can see he infuses this football team with like a certain level of confidence and swagger and fire. And he did the same thing at Ole Miss, where I covered him extensively. I think this is a guy who, look, if Brian Daboll thinks he should start, put him in there.
Yeah, man does not lack for confidence, to be sure. Neither does this young man, Shedeur Sanders. This is our last question here. Shedeur Sanders will start for the Browns before October. Is that ridiculous?
Yeah, I think it is. Look, I think this is Joe Flacco's team for the foreseeable future, unless he absolutely falls flat on his face. And you can't forget the fact that Dylan Gabriel was drafted 2 rounds ahead of Shedeur and had a pretty good